hearing to order. Representative Mako, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you all so much for being here today. Thank you so much, members, for attending. This is definitely one of the better attended policy events that we've had. I think it's a testament to not just the exciting venue that we're at, but also the exciting and relevant topic that we'll be discussing here today, which is notably affordability for families, specifically when it comes to going back to school, which is what a lot of folks in this room can relate to. We are especially grateful to Crayola for opening their doors to us. I have not been here for about 20 years. When my homeschool group came here for a tour 20 years ago, and it was the Model Magic clay that we had a couple buckets of that I think before screen time didn't exist back then. But my mom would just give me that bucket of clay and put me in a corner when she needed me to leave her alone for a little bit. So she is very grateful and wanted her to pass that along. So it's wonderful to be back here after so many years. I want to thank Marta Orville very much for all of the work that you have done. You guys have just done an incredible job putting this together for us. Crayola is, I think, very unique because it's where manufacturing, creativity, and family life really comes together. My name is David Rowe. I have the privilege of representing the 85th Legislative District that covers parts of Union, Juniata, Mifflin, and all of Snyder County. I'm the chairman of the Republican Policy Committee, and I would like to, first of all, before we do anything else, invite the members to introduce themselves. We're going to start on my left and go down and then go the other way. Members, just let us know your names and where you represent.
Good morning. My name is Ann Flood. I represent the 138th District right here in Northampton County. So welcome to Crayola and welcome to my district.
I'm Representative Cheryl Delosier. I represent the 88th District, and it is in the eastern part of Cumberland County, right outside of Harrisburg.
Good morning. I'm Tim Twardzik. I represent the fine folks in Schuylkill County, the 123rd District.
And hello, friends. Good morning. State Rep Jonathan Fritz, proudly representing the 111th Legislative District comprising Wayne and Susquehanna counties.
Good morning. Eric Weepnack, representing Berks County, the 5th Legislative District.
Good morning. State Senator Jared Coleman, represent portions of Lehigh and Bucks County. Thank you.
Good morning. Representative Joe Emmerich. I serve the 137th District, just a couple of minutes west of where we're sitting.
Zach Mako in the 183rd Lehigh Northampton counties.
Doyle Heffley, 122nd District, Carbon County.
Good morning, everyone. Brenda Pugh from the 120th District in Luzerne County.
I'm scared to bring the microphone. Good morning, everyone. State Representative Robert Ledbetter representing the 109th District, encompassing all of beautiful Columbia County.
Thank you, members. I also want to thank McKenna Humes, who is here from Senator McCormick's office. We really appreciate taking the time to be here with us today. Today's hearing is focusing very simply on affordability, a real everyday concern for Pennsylvania families. And when we talk about affordability, we're not talking about luxuries here. We're talking about affording the essentials that families need for every child to learn, to grow, and to excel. In today's case, those everyday essentials are school supplies, which we're coming up on that time. They're expenses that add up quickly, especially at this time of year. So one of the very good ideas we're going to be discussing today is Representative Flood's House Bill 1596, and that establishes something that is an annual back-to-school tax holiday. And when you're doing those back-to-school shopping trips and throwing everything you need in the cart all at once, it definitely adds up. And that tax holiday's goal will be to just make life a little bit easier. So I want to thank Representative Flood for really putting families first and for being really conscientious about how important that issue is. Giving families a little breathing room at this time of year is one of those things that when expenses spike and budgets already stretched thin can really just kind of be a lifeline for families that are struggling to make ends meet. So I want to thank Representative Flood for her leadership, and I'm going to kick it over to her for some opening remarks.
Good morning, and thank you, everybody, for being here today. I'm truly honored to welcome you here to Crayola's World Headquarters right here in Easton. I'm proud to be hosting this event, and there's no place more fitting for today's conversation than right here at Crayola. This wonderful company has been deeply personal part of my life for as long as I can remember. When I was a child, my mom used to work here. It used to be a division called Liquitex, which is part of the art materials division, and you know, she worked not just her, but I had several other family members who have worked here as well. And like so many families in our region, Crayola was more than a place to earn a paycheck. It was part of our everyday lives, providing for families, connecting generations, and giving people a sense of pride in their work. Crayola has long been a major employer in our district and throughout the Lehigh Valley, and it has earned its reputation as an amazing place to work. For generations, families have walked through these doors. Parents, children, grandchildren have built careers here. That kind of loyalty and longevity speaks to a company that values its employees and understands the importance of community. That connection runs all the way to the top. Crayola's president and CEO, Pete Ruggiero, who was raised right here in the 138th district. He and I both graduated from Penargil High School, although Pete is a little older than me. I will always say that. And he grew up right here like so many of us. His father was my gym teacher and also my brother's football coach in high school. We grew up in a close-knit community where people knew one another, looked out for one another, and cared deeply about where we lived. That is why it feels especially meaningful to hold this hearing right here. Crayola is led by someone who understands this community and leads a company that reflects those same values. Hosting a conversation about affordability, education, and opportunity in this space simply makes sense. Crayola is often called the most colorful place on earth, and for so many of us, it truly is. From a very young age, Crayola products are part of how children learn, explore, and express themselves. Crayons and markers are often among the very first tools a child uses in school. They help spark creativity, build confidence, and make learning feel accessible and exciting. Those tools continue to play an important role throughout a student's education. That's why we are here today to talk about an issue that affects families every single year. Back-to-school shopping has become increasingly expensive, as many of you know. Parents and caregivers want to make sure their children have what they need to succeed, but the cost of supplies, backpacks, clothing, and technology adds up very quickly, especially when you have multiple children in your family. For many families, the financial pressure is real and arrives at the same time every year. That's why I introduced House Bill 1596, legislation to establish an annual back-to-school sales tax break or holiday in Pennsylvania. This bill is about affordability. It is about recognizing the challenges families face and offering meaningful, targeted relief at a time when it matters most. It's about helping parents stretch their budgets while ensuring students have access to the tools they need to grow, learn, and succeed. I look forward to hearing testimony and thoughtful discussion on how a back-to-school sales tax holiday can support families, educators, and local businesses across the Commonwealth. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Flood. We're very honored today to hear from three pillars of this community, individuals whose leadership and service really just makes them trusted advocates for the families that they serve. So we have Michael Sabatine, who is the Director of Families First of Penargil. We have Sarah Whitworth, who's a school counselor at Moore Elementary School. We have Marissa Elias, who is a mother of 6, good for you, including teenage twins. And then we also have Heather Shaner, who is not testifying, but will be available for questions, if I'm not mistaken. Fantastic. So we're going to have each of you 3 to 5 minutes of testimony, and then we'll let all of you go, and then we'll turn it over to the members for some questions, for some Q&A. You're welcome to jump in on any question the members ask. You don't have to answer every question. You're welcome to answer any question. We are here to learn from you. So feel free to jump in. We do have a hard stop today, so at 10:25, I'm going to have to cut it off and wrap it up, but we'll squeeze as much good content in the time that we have. So, Michael, you're up first.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Michael Philip Sabatine. I am the Executive Director of Families First of Penargil. We are a nonprofit 501c3 that was organized to provide services, programs, and resources to families in the Penargil Area School District to provide a better quality of life, and we've been proudly doing so for about 25 years. I'd like to take a moment to express my appreciation to Representative Flood for her concern about the families in our district and her attempt to help alleviate some of the financial burden created by the students heading back to school. Unfortunately, our district, like many others in the state, have been highlighted recently by reporting statistics on the rate of poverty based on the latest census reporting. It should become readily apparent that the once trivial expense of returning to school has become a colossal challenge to some of the families because of this increase in poverty. Currently, 14% of Pennsylvania students live in poverty. That is 1 of every 7 children. The Penargil Area School District saw a 76% increase in poverty growth in 2023. A number that continues to escalate is the percentile of students that receive either free or reduced lunch. In the Penargil School District, this is currently 55% of the student body. That is every other student. The Slate Belt has the 2 fastest growing areas of poverty in the state. All of these statistics are based on the 2023 Data Wrap and Morning Call census statistics. Families First has worked to assist in defraying the cost of back-to-school expenses for many years. We have offered back-to-school days prior to the kickoff of school to supply the necessary items that are requested by the school. This year, we recognize the overwhelming response and number of students that did in fact require these supplies. We stepped up our game and we held our first ever back-to-school bonanza. This event's scope far exceeded the abilities of Families First, but we were so fortunate to incorporate the assistance of several of our local churches, local businesses, and individuals who donated a plethora of supplies. Based on the requested items from the school, a family of 3 children, in 1 with elementary, 2 in the middle school, would be confronted with an expense of about $280 for the supplies necessary for school. A parent with 1 student in 8th grade would spend about $114 to meet those needed requests. Families First would have incurred an estimated cost of approximately $4,886 in supplies to meet the needs of approximately only 150 students that attended that event. During the event, we actually distributed about 2,500 items, offered free underwear, free socks, and the teachers from the high school hosted a used clothing sale as well. Families First does provide an in-school store in all 3 of our buildings. We provide the basic essentials for students, which include everything up to backpacks. These supplies are available on a help yourself basis at no charge to any student anytime that they are in need. We also provide the supplies to our teachers and the guidance departments as well that may be shortcomings of the parents. There is absolutely no question that the rate of poverty has far exceeded the rate of income growth in our area. This makes not only back to school a challenge for our students' family, but everyday life has also become a struggle. Any level of consideration to a reprieve from a taxable status on back to school supplies would provide a measurable benefit to the families incurring these costs. I would like to thank each of you for your time and your attention to this ever-increasing concern, and I am optimistic that with Representative Flood's commitment to her constituents, we will bring some resolution to this important issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Sabatini. Ms. Whitworth.
Good morning, and thank you so much for having myself and Mrs. Shaner here to talk about our school backpack program. First, I'd like to talk about how we got started. About 7 years ago, a parent reached out to Mr. Dimmick, our principal, and I, and asked if we would be interested in starting a backpack program. Research shows, backpack programs are vital for students because they alleviate the weekend and holiday food insecurities that parents can struggle with. We can provide nutritious, easy-to-prepare meals for families when the school-provided breakfast and lunches aren't available during those weekends and holidays. So the parent reached out to us through her pastor at her church, which is Hope Lutheran Church, which is located within our school district. They received grants for food, easy-to-prepare meals, and our previous school nurse, Mrs. Klitsch, and I started the backpack program. In the beginning, we had about 7 families, and we chose the families just based on our knowledge of the families themselves. We knew families that may be struggling, and we offered the backpack program to them. So we continued this and provided families with backpacks on long weekends and then extended holidays. We were not doing it every week because it was just the two of us that were in charge of the program. We continued this, and then the parent who helped initiate it left our school district as her daughter moved to the middle school and then on to the high school. 2 years ago, Mrs. Klitsch retired. I was lucky enough to have Mrs. Shaner and Mrs. Dreamock, who wasn't able to be here, but she's our math specialist, and they helped me take over the program. Mrs. Dreamock was born in Moore Township, and through a lot of her resources with local churches, was able to secure an enormous amount of donations for us so that we could really stock our backpack program. In fact, our district supervisors would come and see our room that was dedicated to our program, and were amazed by the amount of food and supplies that we were able to provide. So Mrs. Dreamock's been very instrumental in that as well. We've gotten help through Hope Lutheran Church, Covenant Church, and Emmanuel Church as well, who have done food drives for us. We currently have 27 students who receive food every week. The backpacks go home on Fridays. These students receive a rolling backpack that was also donated. Each child receives a rolling backpack. It's filled with easy to prepare meals. And they go home, again, the backpacks go home every Friday. On long weekends and holidays, we send home boxes of food for the families so that the children can enjoy a breakfast and a lunch as well as a snack for each day. And we have parents sign up for this through a portal. Mr. Dimmick, our principal, he sends a blanket message out to all parents who are now able to sign up through a Google form. It's strictly confidential. Myself, Mrs. Shaner, Mr. Dimmick, and Mrs. Dreamock are the only staff that are aware of who's on the backpack program. So we get the names through their applications. Then the applications are always changing. Parents go on and off the program as they need. We have parents that need the program because of a situation within their family, and then we have other parents that have been on the program for many years. We also have grandparents. We have quite a few grandparents who are raising their grandchildren, so the unexpected challenge of having children and additional cost of food helps supplement that for them. We have been also very appreciative of the Moore Township Families in Need and the Lionesses and Lions Club of Moore Township that have also been able to provide for us to help support our children to ensure that they're receiving nutritious meals when they're not in school. Parents have been very supportive of our program. We receive emails every month from parents who are very appreciative and just can't say enough about it, the help that it gives them. So we're very lucky and very fortunate to have a lot of resources available to us, and happy to be able to provide this to families who may not otherwise be able to afford some of these foods because the cost of food has definitely gone up as well. So I thank you for allowing me to speak on this program, and it's been very beneficial for our families.
Thank you, Ms. Whitworth, and thank you for your work. That's exciting stuff you guys are doing. Ms. Elias.
Good morning, and thank you for the opportunity to be here today. My name is Marissa Elias. I'm a lifelong resident of Easton, and I live right here in Forks Township with my husband and 6 children, and my 2 youngest are here today. I'm here today as a mother. The legislation being proposed would really benefit households like mine. Any tax relief is a win for a large family like ours. I think it's common sense to make back to school more affordable. In our single income family, we often find ourselves looking for financial savings, whether it's repairing decade-old appliances rather than purchasing new ones, or substituting a family vacation with a day trip to the park. Back-to-school season used to feel exciting. Now, honestly, it feels too similar to the stress of mortgage expenses or preparing for tax season. With 5 children in school, back-to-school shopping doesn't mean picking out just a few notebooks and a new outfit. For us, it means 5 sets of supplies, 5 pairs of sneakers, 5 outfits, 5 book bags, and it continues beyond August. 5 field trips, 5 fundraisers, 5 activity fees, 5 sports registrations. Small costs quickly become hundreds of dollars. As the gatekeeper of our household, I can tell you every dollar counts. Controlling costs during the school year is important, whether it's breakfast before the bus or snacks after school. Groceries are one of the most consistent financial pressures in our household. Families have been overtaxed for way too long. With this common sense legislation, it will mean more money back in the pockets of working families. It'll also support all of the teachers who are forced to spend their own money to keep their classrooms filled with supplies. It's a win for everyone who stresses about financial savings. It's a glimmer of hope that our leaders in Harrisburg are paying attention to us. In closing, I like to say I'm grateful for the leadership of Representative Ann Flood and the members of this committee who are all working to prioritize families. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Elias. All right, we're going to kick it over to members for questions. Again, as I said, we got about a half an hour before we have a hard stop, but we are here to learn from you guys, so please feel free to jump in, add anything you have to it. We're going to start off. Representative Flood, you have the floor.
First, I want to thank you all for your testimony, because each one brought to the table and brought great information to all of us legislators about what we're seeing back in our community. And it's not pretty. Affordability has been a major issue that we're all facing right now. So I appreciate you coming up and sharing these stories with us and all the great things that you're doing in the community, as well as how you're handling life at home, addressing these issues. For Michael or Sarah, what types of supplies are families requesting the most? Can you speak in the microphone? Sorry.
I can't speak to anyone other than the Penargil School District, but our teachers at the end of each year prepare a list of supplies that are going to be needed for the following year. So it is not a parental decision as to what I have to spend or what will be needed. The school is actually dictating. There are no penalties or ramifications for noncompliance. If you are not able to provide it for your student, it falls on the Families First at that point, and we will provide it. The estimated cost that I had provided, about $280 for 3 kids or $115 for 1 student, meet just about the basic essentials. They no longer tablets, that kind of stuff, since we are using computers. Our most expensive returning items are headphones, which are required for the students, and binders. Binders are the most expensive item that we have to purchase.
I know when my son was going through school, at one point, this was in the high school, he was taking 2 math classes, and each math teacher required a special calculator. And they weren't allowed to, the one calculator he couldn't use in the other classroom. The one calculator was over $200, and then the second calculator was well over $100. So I'm putting well over $300 out just for 2 calculators for his junior year of class, and that's just to even get started so he can function in class. So, those things I think people tend to forget about, but they add up really quick. It's not just pencils. It's not just, markers or tablets, binders, things like that. I mean, it's technology. Technology is getting really expensive, and it's very taxing on the family. And although computers are supplied by the schools or iPads, there's the extra accessories, things that you need that I think can really add up. Also, I just am wondering, what are the biggest cost drivers beyond school supplies?
We also
clothing, sneakers. I don't know, for my kids, they have to wear uniforms. They have to wear white sneakers. And they also need shoes for their summer uniform, and then for their winter uniform, if they need a different uniform and a different pair of shoes.
And so when you have multiple children, that adds up very quickly each year. Thank you.
And Anne, I also wanted to add to that, because at the elementary level, the children grow very quickly. And so I think I see, and I'm sure Mrs. Shaner, again, the clothing, the shoes, the coats, all those necessary, the things that are necessary are quite costly for families. And we get donations as well that we share with families, but the cost of the sneakers are quite expensive, just clothes in general. So at the elementary level, we definitely see a need for that, because we have children coming in with sneakers that their feet are pushing out the front, clothes that are much too small for them. And so it's definitely an issue that we're seeing.
You were talking about the backpacks and that you put the food in the backpacks. Are there what other items do you put in that backpack for that child?
We put food in every week. We provide toothpaste, toothbrushes, soaps, shampoos, conditioners. What else do we do?
We have also been beneficial enough to get donations of winter coats. One of the particular churches, I forget which one, donated hand knit scarves, hats, gloves. We've been able to pass those out. Socks and underwear, as you mentioned, the toiletry kits. Anything you can think of that families can need, if it has been donated to us, we've been able to share with our families. Even one of the churches provided, and one of our students was so kind, wrote a thank you note, what they call a birthday cake kit. It's a box of cake mix, a can of soda, so they don't have to use a fresh egg or oil, candles, a handwritten birthday card so they could take home. So every month we look at the students who celebrate a birthday and send home a cake kit as well. And one child wrote us the sweetest, most adorable thank you card for making her birthday so special. And that was really nice. We were able to share that back with the church in appreciation of all that they've been doing.
Representative Ledbetter.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative Pugh, if this microphone rings, I apologize. Yeah, correct. Thank you all for your testimony this morning. Certainly appreciated. And a special thank you to Representative Flood and her leadership on House Bill 1596 and the other co-sponsors on the bill. You know, this is something that, as a father to young children, is certainly a annual exercise that's conducted in anticipating the excitement of the school year, but also the cost. My daughters do not attend a traditional public school, but the annual investment into their education is something that continues to ring. A quiet part out loud type question that I would like to try to get insight from you all this morning on is, when we consider that the Pennsylvania PSEA, the Pennsylvania State Education Association, anticipates that a teacher's salary on average in Pennsylvania is just over $79,000 a year. And we know that teachers are still spending money out of their pocket to fund supplies within their classroom. We also know that school districts, school board members anticipate the teachers' unions coming to meet with them and expect a 2 to 4% step increase in salaries year over year. And yet, you guys all just testified and outlined how the needs for students continue to expand. I mean, we're talking about literally children's feet that are supposed to take them through their world from the classroom into recess, not being sufficient so that they can learn the way that they need to. With the governor's budget address, referencing the importance of recess, referencing the importance of a stable environment for children to be able to learn and be educated in safe environments. Has there been any feedback from the collective bargaining conversations that you all have had in walking back this 2 to 4% expected increase year over year in an effort for districts to reallocate that funding toward the needs that the students, the children that are attending these schools desperately need? Has there been any of that?
Not that I have been involved with, not that I have heard of. No, I mean, I can certainly attest to the fact that teachers spend quite a bit of their own money on supplies for their classrooms. The union as a whole, I'm not aware.
And this, to be very clear, is not an anti-public school teacher or an anti-cost of living series of questions or a statement, but it is something that I think we all as lawmakers can use as an opportunity to take your testimonies today and really consider how we can think outside the box and how we can go about this differently. Because if there's anything to take away from Representative Flood's legislation or from your testimonies this morning, it's that the old way of doing things aren't cutting it. And if we expect our kids to succeed, we need to be able to be innovative and give them the resources that they deserve. So I appreciate you guys this morning. Thank you.
Representative Fritz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I'll start off by mentioning that my wife is an educator, and it's her God-given gift to this world. And we get to see, I get to see through her just how beneficial it is for that young person to be fully enabled and confident and empowered to learn, and that includes supplies as well as clothing. So I live it, I see it, I get it. I wanted to, I guess, maybe bounce a question towards Representative Flood's way. Representative Flood, is this legislation mirroring from any other states, or is this kind of out of the blue?
I have to be honest with you, I'm not sure. This is an idea that had come to me from a conversation that I had with a constituent. And it is I should say it is a bipartisan bill, and Representative Bob Freeman is a co-prime on this with me. So we're. Well, there's your answer.
All right. Well, that's
17 other states already have this already.
That's wonderful. And here's where I'm going with it. I think it's absolutely brilliant. I know that today's hearing is focused on the savings, and that's real, that's significant. But the marketing side of my brain says, as consumers, we are all, let's look at something shiny, be drawn to that item, right? This is something that can be used as a promotion, as an incentive to get people out to purchase items. So that's the part of me that sees the benefit to this, and would be happy to join with 17 other states in incentivizing people to get out and shop, but also having the very real benefit to our youngsters and having them feel fully empowered and ready to learn. So good job, Representative Van Flood. Proud of you.
And just to go through that list, Alabama, Arkansas, Connecticut, Florida, Iowa, Maryland, Massachusetts, Mississippi, Missouri, New Mexico, Ohio, Oklahoma, South Carolina, Tennessee, Texas, Virginia, and West Virginia have already beat us to the punch. So you can see it's blue states, red states. It's not a partisan issue. Chairman Heffley.
Thank you, Chairman Rowe. It's an inside thing, but no. It's thank you everybody for your testimony today, and we need more babies, right? We are a society that in many ways is depopulating, and we see that in that we have colleges and universities right now that are scaling down because they don't have as many students going in, because we don't have as many students graduating from high schools. So that is a societal thing, an opportunity we have. And I think it's sad as I talk to people that they say, well, maybe we would have had more children, but I don't know that we could have afforded them. We live in one of the greatest states in the greatest nation. I'd say the greatest state and the greatest nation on earth. And we have a lot of abundance. But as policymakers, I think it's important when we come out to these hearings and come out to support legislation like House Bill 1596, and we look at saving those costs, and we look at the entirety of all the policies that we address and how they impact. Marissa, congratulations, 6 children, that's awesome. I have 2 girls, and I'm going to say it, I have a grandson on the way any day now, like any minute now, right? So I have a granddaughter, we're expecting our second. It's awesome, right? So raising kids is great. Being a grandparent, being a pappy is awesome, right? And I want my children to have lots of children. So anything that we can do as policymakers, whether it be a bill to alleviate tax burdens, but as we look at things, whether it be energy policy, transportation policy, school policies, what can we do to help young families be successful and say, you know what, we're going to have more children because we can afford more children. How can we make that those opportunities? So this is a good bill, and you know, everything that we do. And when I look at votes, and I chair the Human Service Committee, so we deal with a lot of different issues, folks in need, and but I think anything we can do to help Pennsylvania families to grow, fill those classrooms up, fill those universities up, and fill those manufacturing facilities up that need employees, and that they're going to stay here in our state. And a lot of that just overall bringing down those costs at every level. And I think that's a driving factor for myself and my colleagues here at this table when we look at issues in Harrisburg and how we vote on them. We talk about these issues and how it's going to impact real family and real lives. So thank you for your testimony today.
Representative Pugh.
Thank you, Chairman. And I appreciate everybody that's here. It's kind of interesting, and I thought it was strange at first, but I do have 3 children and 5 grandchildren, so I'm right up there with you, and it's great. I'm kind of done with my children. I take the grandchildren any day of the week. But it's interesting because of those 3 children, there's only 5 grandchildren, and that's the choice that they made. They're not having any more. They're done. They like their family size. Families do seem to be shrinking. I'd love more, but it's just not going to happen in my lifetime. And I found it interesting that the grandchildren every single year bring a list home of supplies that they're required to bring to school, such as tissues, paper, napkins, crayons, whatever, for the classroom of items that teacher needs. And I also have a cousin that lives down in the state of Florida. They actually set up Amazon accounts for the parents to go in and pay for the supplies for the classroom. So that concerns me a little bit on the funding and how things are actually fluctuating around, because we never got those lists when I was growing up or my children went to school. I do admire absolutely everything that you guys are doing. I'd love to talk to you about a program called Food Dignity when it comes to feeding your children. They produce farm fresh food from local farmers, and they get it, they pay fair market value to our farmers to get that food. We have it into 2 CTEX locally, and it's starting to expand, so I'd love to give you that contact for that. And on another aspect, Representative Flood, this is amazing, because one thing I found in my past life when it comes to technology, the state of Pennsylvania always tends to be 10 to 15 years behind everybody else. And until we embrace the technology and not afraid of change and what comes with it, I think we're going to continue to be 10 to 15 years behind the rest of the country. So thank you for doing this.
Representative Mako.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and Representative Flood for putting this on. This is a great event, and look forward to HB 1596 moving. I wanted to say for Marissa, I appreciate your story, and I sympathize with you. As the oldest of 5, my dad was a hardwood floor man. My mom was a stay-at-home mom, so similar background. I lived on the discounted school lunch. In fact, I joined the Army at 18, and when I went away, I was sending money back to my family to help them get by. So I totally sympathize with your story. Also helped pay for college too, so that was a good thing. But one of the things I wanted to talk about was with the Moore ladies. With the closure of Moore Elementary happening, that's in my district. Sorry, Ann Flood, but better part of Moore. But with that, the backpack program, have you talked about trying to keep that alive, moving that, because that's going to East Allen, also in the district, and keeping that alive, because I think that's a great program, and I really want to see that keep thriving.
Yes, we've talked about that with Mr. Dimick and Mrs. Tellis, who helps us with the program from the administration part of that. We will be moving our Moore Township backpack program to East Allen, and we've already had the churches that help provide have already notified us that even though they're in Moore Township, that they want to keep providing for the children at East Allen that need the program. So we will be having I'm not sure if it will be set up day one just because of moving into a new school, but we already have it set up that we will have the same program at East Allen for families in need.
And Mr. Chairman, can I have a follow-up on that? Have you had any talk of expanding it to the whole school district too, now that you're kind of more centralized?
Well, each school in the district now has some form of a backpack program or a pantry program. And I believe, and I don't quote me, but I believe at the middle school and high school levels, the pantry program allows students to actually go in and pick their foods.
Okay.
We don't do that at the elementary level.
That makes sense.
But everyone has some form of a functioning backpack program. We all do it a little differently. And as I said, we've been very fortunate that our pantry is like extensively loaded. We have 2 rooms filled. So we've been very fortunate that we can send maybe more than what other schools may be able to send each week. But every school has, again, some form of a program.
That's great to hear. And if there's anything we can do to help out, minus 1596, but let us know, please. Thank you.
Administrator Delozier.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you very much for the information and bringing it forward. I have one question about the food supply and the backpack, and then one about the bill itself. With the backpack program, we have that in our school districts, and I'm in central Pennsylvania, down right outside of Harrisburg. So West Shore School District, Mechanicsburg School District, Cumberland Valley are our school areas. And I know working with West Shore, my kids, that's the district my kids have gone through. One of the issues was we had the backpack program, but one of the things that we also work with the backpack program was my concern over the summer, those 3 months when they're not in school, to get those Friday deliveries and those Friday backpacks. And so we work with our local food bank. Central Pennsylvania Food Bank was very much a huge partner, and they were more than willing to step in. And one of our schools, they keep all the administration in the one school and close down other schools so that there's just one school operating electricity and everything else during the summer. But that's the focal point where kids can walk, families walk there, they can get things. Is that something that happens in your neck of the woods for the kids that possibly would need it? And is it dealing with, because we use it with the Title I classification?
Our current backpack program in Penargil is servicing about 175 students as we speak, and our backpack program is divided into 3 separate tiers. There is the standard backpack program, which goes home every Friday with the students. We have worked tirelessly to remove the stigma of the individual being a participant in this program. It is referred to as the Knights Table, and the students are invited down to the Knights Table each Friday to pick up their backpacks. Okay. For the families and clients that we have recognized that the need far surpasses that of a simple backpack, we do a monthly food box. This monthly food box is distributed with the parental involvement of the families coming in, picking up the foods, and it provides them with at least meals for 4 weeks through the course of the month, not a meal every single day, but standard stock pantry items. We were so fortunate through the County of Northampton this year to receive a farmer's grant, and in that farmer's grant, it enabled us to work with 3 of the local farmers in this area, and we then started our 3rd program for this year, which was our summer foods program. It was the meal box program, but it incorporated removing the stigma by purchasing vouchers to the Easton Farmers Market and to local farmers, and allowing our clients to go and actually make the purchases for themselves, taking away a little bit of that stigma in the program. We're also currently recognizing that it is not only the necessities and needs of bacon, butter, and bread and milk. We see the cost of household necessities such as paper towel, toilet paper, laundry detergent at an absorbent cost. We are now implementing a program where possibly every other month, via grants or donation, we will also work during a box to curtail those household expenses as well for these individuals. I think something that is very important and maybe overlooked at this point, when we are looking at the statistics of the family size and the numeration of those individuals decreasing, I believe that is in the standard nuclear family as it appears today. What is not decreasing is the lower income, moderate income levels, where those family sizes continue to increase to where our average family size currently is about 6 members in that family. They are primarily blended families, but one
I
of
was
the
just gonna say, it's
biggest
different generations
different
or different- okay.
generations, and one of the biggest problems that we are confronted with right now, and I'm working diligently with our district, we have a huge percentile of grandparents who are currently pushing their grandchildren through the system. These are fixed income individuals, which I think makes this program even more advantageous to them as well. We do see the majority of our clients are the grandparents, parents, and the children living in a single household who are recipients of the programs we are putting together.
And what is the determination, this leads to my question with the bill, what is the determination of those 175 families? Do you go
We send
by
out-
income with Title I?
Yes, we send out about 7,000 letters at the beginning of the school year that anyone who qualifies for free and or reduced
Free and
lunch
reduced
is a
lunch, okay.
recipient of our programs.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate it, because I think it's important that we look at this as an entire, big picture. There's lots of little pieces.
Yes.
And I think, we need to pay attention to the fact that school is only 9 months of the year, and you guys do a yeoman's work during that time period. But the families, there's 3 months where the families do need to, they're at home, and that's an expense that they didn't, if they are free and reduced lunch for breakfast and lunch, they don't have that in their budget. For those 3 months, so it has an impact. Along with that, for the bill in and of itself, is this something for families that qualify? Is it and maybe this is more of a question for Ann. Is this families? Is it everybody across the board that buys school supplies? So for those 3 weeks, all stores, the Walmarts, the Targets, the everything, that list is not taxed when they check out, or is this something that a family has to qualify for with income levels? I don't know, Andy, or I'm using your mic. Sorry.
It's for everyone.
Okay. Okay, I just wanted to clarify, because many times when we're in our school districts, there is an income-based, and wanted to clarify with the bill that this is something that is across the board to help all families in the state of Pennsylvania. So thank you very much for your time.
I want to recognize that we have been joined by Representative Zimmerman. Thank you very much for being here. Chairman Emmerich.
Thank you, Chairman Rowe. I don't really have a question, just some brief comments. First, I am a very proud graduate of Bangor High School, 5 minutes apart from Penargil High School. I think Pete and Ann still like me, but that could be in question. I just want to say before I start with what we're talking about today, growing up in the Slate Belt with Pete and Ann, I just remember as a little kid in like the 1970s, there were 2 places where if you got a job, it was like the greatest thing in the world. And I just remember one being Hoffman LaRoche and the second Crayola. Because even I knew as a little kid how great they treated their employees. And if you got a job there, you retired from there. And the longevity of working in the same place was incredible, especially compared to today. But it was just incredible. And none of that has changed, even to this day. And it's just, so the impact that Crayola has had on the local community, the local workforce, and which goes, in my opinion, kind of under the radar, and because we see Crayola really as a global organization that impacts millions and millions of kids and families across the world, which is just amazing. And we're sitting right here in headquarters, which is just incredible. So I also just want to make note that the work that you do, Mr. Sabatine and Ms. Whitworth and Shaner, and organizations like yours, the Slater Family Network in Nazareth, the Vision of Eagles, and now Nazareth Angel Project, and so many others, is incredible, and it's invaluable. And you don't get the, I don't think it gets the attention nor the credit that you deserve for what you do on a daily basis on the ground helping people. And I think if we can make that more known to the broader community, I think it would just help what you do, because it is incredible and it's incredibly invaluable. In an institution, an organization, and at a time where kids are most vulnerable and most in need, where we want them to be successful in the classroom, because as we know, the more successful you are in the classroom, the statistics bear out, the more successful you are in life. So anything we can do as legislators, any ideas you may have, anything you can provide us with feedback is incredibly valuable and very welcome. And I just want to thank Representative Flood for priming a great piece of legislation, and we hope this gets to the governor's desk. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Emmerich. We're very grateful that Senator Coleman has been able to join us today. I'm going to turn it over to you, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, everyone. And to Crayola, just to add, I've had the opportunity to travel quite a bit outside of my work in the Senate, and when I go to places like Minneapolis, the Mall of America, and I see the Crayola experience there, or the Florida Mall down outside Orlando, and you see the Crayola experience, just the amount of pride to be able to see something out in another state and know that's in the Lehigh Valley. What a great asset that we have here. So, thank you to Crayola, because it's really a testament to your legacy and just how much of a leader you are. To Representative Flood, thank you for sponsoring this. Representative Mako, Rowe, and Emmerich as well. What a great piece of policy. So much in government, there's this double talk where things are said they're not actually true, right? Or often we see tax breaks, but they're very, most recently some proposed tax breaks or tax breaks that are only certain folks are eligible for. And they don't really advertise that. And this is so great because everyone can qualify, right? So not only the parents, but the grandparents. And that's important because it's not, while we see the increasing rates of poverty in the state, and we need to address ways to empower them to get out of there. It's also important to understand that everyone's hurting right now, and folks need the help, and this is a great bill that provides the relief for everyone. So I just want to thank you for your leadership on the issue, and thank you all for being here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Representative Flood.
Well, believe it or not, we're winding down because this hearing has been so full of information and great feedback for us legislators, but we are coming down to the end, so I'm just going to give a few closing remarks. I just want to take the time to thank everybody for being here today at this hearing. Your testimony is so important to us, and Marissa, your testimony about the impact of what families are going through, especially with multiple children, and how you're trying to make ends meet is very profound and something that we really need to feel, because I was able to feel the struggle that you feel every day through your testimony. So I want to thank you for that. Members that are sitting here at the table, if you haven't had a chance to sign on to House Bill 1596, please do it. Please sign on right away, because this is really a good bill, and I think we've all heard the importance of it, not just for school supplies, but even for everyday needs. And thank you for all of the work that you're doing in our community. The conversation matters. They help ensure that our policies reflect real experiences and real needs. Thank you again to Crayola for welcoming us here today. It's a true honor and a privilege to be here, for the role that you play in education, employment, and community life. Thank you to everyone here for being part of the important discussion. I look forward to continuing this work together as we focus on making back to school more affordable for families across Pennsylvania. So thank you.
Thank you, Representative Flood. I want to thank our testifiers for being willing to be here. I want to thank all of the members who came. I know we had a couple more questions on the list, but we are on a bit of a clock here, so I apologize for that. But you might have a couple of members that come up to you afterward just to chat. Your testimony today really underscored a very simple reality, that affordability challenges show up in Pennsylvanians' life every single day on essential things that they all need. Affordability is not a partisan issue. I want to commend Representative Flood. The House Bill 1596 that we spoke about today has 18 18 co-sponsors at the moment, 9 Republicans, 9 Democrats, and I think it's just a testament to Representative Flood's ability to truly build a consensus around an issue that we can all get behind. It's no secret that Harrisburg is a little bit of a divisive place these days, but Representative Flood has done a fantastic job of building a coalition of people who share her vision to make Pennsylvania more affordable. It's why her bill deserves very serious consideration as we look for practical ways to bring relief to Pennsylvania families. So I want to thank you again to Crayola for hosting us, for our testifiers who joined us, the members of the audience, and the members who took the time here to be here today. Members, stick around for 1 second. After the meeting is adjourned, we're going to hear from President Ruggiero. With that, this hearing is adjourned.